Building a competitive Vanguard deck is expensive, but not necessarily difficult. With TCG Player, Facebook groups, and trading, you could get any card you want with just a click. I decided to do this the hard way. Starting with just one start deck and a budget of $60 per episode, I'll try to build a competitive deck entirely from sealed product. No trades, no singles, no shortcuts. The ultimate goal? Take this deck all the way to Vanguard's biggest event of the year, the Bushiroad Championship Series. Welcome to Sealed Only Vanguard. There is nothing more exciting to me on this channel than starting a brand new series, and this one's pretty exciting. So we're doing Sealed Only Vanguard with this new Shiki Otei start deck focusing on Estacion as the main Vanguard. I actually do not know what's in this deck fully, but I do know a little bit how Estacion works. Shiki Otei is the sensei to the main character of the Skyride manga. Zero, I think his name is, but the whole strategy of this deck is using its skill to get 5 attacks by calling one of the grade 2 dragons and generating large numbers with your blast token that your opponent can't guard. So with that in mind, I've never actually played this deck prior to me owning this deck, so let's get cracking and see what's inside. Alright, you get triggers, counters, play sheet, random stuff. Cool, first guide. Whatever. And then the main thing what we're here for is the deck. Our main Vanguard, Legend of the Celestial Fury Estacion. Act Vanguard once per turn. If you have a blast token, when a plant token would be placed on rearguard, you could put it as your blast token's plant gauge instead. Counterblast 1, you could call up to 1 plant token to rearguard. Look at the top 3, choose a card among them, put into your hand, shuffle your deck. If you have 6 or more plant gauges, look at the top 5 cards of your deck instead of 3 cards. Now, one thing that I like about this is that this Vanguard could stand on its own. There is a final build that we're going to try and work towards in the series to take ultimately to a BCS and try and make the World Championship of Vanguard. And its second ability helps scale this deck into a meta where rushing is a viable strategy. With its, when this unit attacks, discard 2 plant gauges, search your deck for up to 1 blast unit and call it to rearguard. And if you search the deck, shuffle the deck. Being able to call from your deck or drop is insane. And I know some of them come in foil, but not all of them do. So this is the ride line. Grade 0. Skill of grade 1, when rode upon by the grade 2, you soul blast 1 Estacion and reveal the grade 3 Estacion in your ride deck, and then call a blast token to back row center rearguard. Then here's the grade 2. When you ride on top of, when this unit is placed by riding from the grade 1, you search for Vital Blaze Blast. I don't know what that card is, and then you ride the grade 3. Alright, cool. Energy generator, thank God these come with it. And we didn't get an all hollow, so you get 3 more personas. 4 of this grade 3, so when it's placed on rearguard by a card's ability, if you have 3 or more plant gauges, until your opponent's next turn, it cannot be chosen by card effects and gets crit +1. Actually pretty good for pressure. I know this card doesn't play much at high numbers in the final build, but cool to have for now. And then rearguard hand at the beginning of the guard step, when your Vanguard was attacked. Oh, you could put this card into your drop and it gets +10. That's actually pretty good, so some extra defense. I think this one's really good. So when it's placed on rearguard by card's ability, if you have 3 or more plant gauges, choose one of your opponent's rearguards until the end of turn, or 10 of your opponent's next turn. They cannot intercept and stand. Oh, okay. And then it gets 5k power, 5k shield if you have an Estacion and blast token. Cool. Autumn, this one's good. So when your plant gauge is put during your main phase and you have a Vanguard or Estacion, you can counterblast 1, call this card to rearguard from the drop zone, so helping you fill up your board. And then when it's placed on rearguard, if you have an Estacion Vanguard, call a plant token to rearguard. This is really good because you could call it with your Vanguard skill, the secondary one, and then you could extend your battle phase by calling this and then a plant token. So that's essentially 5 attacks, and with your blast token, it powers it up so they could hit higher numbers that your opponent can't guard. Then you have the grade 1, the spring one. Act rearguard once per turn if you have an Estacion Vanguard in its name. Energy blast 3, is that 3? And then call a plant token to rearguard. Cool, I guess. When it boosts, if you have 6 or more plant cages, it's 10k booster. Alright, 4 PGs, nothing more to say. Okay, so I heard this card's really good. So Burrow Mushrooms is one of the main key pieces of the deck that we need to chase and try and get a 4th copy of. So on rearguard, you could put it to the soul, call 2 plant tokens to rearguard, and the Granfia thing doesn't necessarily do anything because this is an Estacion deck, but it's more token generation for our blast token, which is absolutely necessary. And then for triggers, we get the OT, and then it should be standard trigger lineup. 4 crit, 4 draw, 3 fronts, 4 heal, Oh, so this is Vital Blaze Blast, the order. So you could play this with Soul Blast 1 if you have a Estacion Vanguard. Put this card face up as a plant gauge. And then look at the top 5 cards. Choose up to 1 card with a grade less than or equal to your Vanguard call to rearguard, shuffle your deck. And if you did not call a card, put a plant token. When this card is put as a plant gauge or is discarded as your turn, choose one of your blast units, gets plus 5k. That's actually not bad. Definitely happy we got 4 of that to kickstart. 2 Ghost Chase. And then our Regalis piece, Protection Twin Cast. Really good for defense. Blast token. This is the main thing of the deck. The main strategy is it cannot be moved to other circles, and if you have a Vanguard with Estacion in its name, it gets the following. It's not affected by opponent's cards, so they can only get rid of this by attacking it. And then or non-targeting skills. And then put 2 or more or up to 3 regards face up as this unit's plant cage and draw a card. Really good for maintaining advantage. And then during your turn, if your Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, all of your front row units get plus 5k for each 3 plant gauges that this unit has. So if you have 6 plant gauges on this, your front row will get 10k in total power. So it's essentially like a Persona ride. So when you Persona ride on the following turn, it could be upwards of 20k to your front row, sometimes 25 even. So this is really good for scaling into late game as well as early game rush. And then some really, really nice token units. And then for our holo, we got the Fitlander. So this is actually a really nice one to get. When it's placed on rearguard from hand, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 card among them, discard it, and shuffle the deck. And during your turn, if your drop has 10 or more cards, it gets plus 10k. Really good attacker, I guess. And then our other holo is Ghost Chase. So really good for bouncing, and then our energy counter. So that's it. That's the deck. We're going to sleeve our deck up in some katana sleeves. So they're white, so clean slate for a brand new series. And then we're going to put the other team, I forgot this team's name from Overdress, on the ride deck. So this deck's going to look really clean, really white, really beautiful. And then we're going to see how this deck performs, because obviously with this journey, we need a baseline for where we can improve and other products that we could use to kind of upgrade our deck from here. Got to take these tokens out. This is going to be such a key piece for us as we go forward into the series, especially with the 5th attack being so relevant in the meta. And we're done. All right, that's the deck. Let's get to locals. Good luck. So to kick things off in the series, we're up against Bruce. Now, Bruce is a decorated player from my area, and he played at Infinity Cards. This is legitimately only the 2nd game ever I've played with this Estacion deck, as I got in a practice round with Heart Lulu to make sure that I'm able to understand what the cards do in relation to how the deck works as a whole. I'm going to use this game as a baseline for where this deck can improve, so let's pay attention to what kind of things this deck lacks as we kind of go through the match. He's using Vygrilla in contrast to our Estacion, and let's go! He won the die roll and chose to go second, which helps play us into our strategy with the early rush with our blast token. On our turn 2, after making our blast token, we open the nuts, with Double Mushroom being able to charge our token with 3 gauges, and after calling a rearguard, we take him to 2 damage on our first swing. Then, he responds with 3 rearguards, not 4, so he doesn't get a critical. And in remembering my hand, at the time I had a PG, so to try and slow Bruce down, I took the first damage, which was ultimately a trigger, and shut his turn down. This led to an explosive turn 3, using the grade 3 Estacion and the order Vital Blaze Blast, and many token generators to give plus 10,000 power to my front row via the blast token. With this all set up, we're ready to attack. On our Vanguard swing, we use its skill to call the Autumn Dragon and to superior call a plant token and turn 4 attacks into 5 with 2 standing units. This pushes Bruce all the way to 5 damage while he is at grade 2. Then, on his turn, he rides the grade 3 Vygrilla and adds a very interesting order card, Flame Dragon Bombardment. It gives your Vanguard the red text ability that your units can attack anything. Now our blast token can't get touched, but attacking it leaves it vulnerable. He then used the rewrite ability and rode it to Vygrilla Elf Knights, and with our 7-card hand and lack of shield, we basically had to block every attack coming to our blast token. We were able to, until we didn't, turning our deck into a vanilla beast with no real skills. He also got a heal trigger to take him down to 4 damage. Yet, we are only at 3 damage, so we stay alive and are able to launch an all-out assault to try and push him to 6, but he is able to defend without the extension that we would have with our blast token on the field. On his turn, he doesn't have the 2nd Elf Knight, so he just Persona rides Vygrilla, and on his attack, our defensive triggers come through with an over trigger, and just 4 damage, yet a dwindled down hand and resources. Then on our turn, we make a final push, but at this point, Bruce already established a board in hand and is able to survive. And we also weren't able to get a large power output because we had no Persona Ride. Then on his turn, he wraps us up with the 4th attack extension using Vygrilla and a double crit to seal the deal and give us the first loss of the series. Man, wasn't that actually unironically close? Honest thoughts after playing that game. So, first of all, I think this deck really lacks the defensive options of having like the one-in-hand perfect guards and an Elementaria. Even though it gives us Twin Cast in the start deck, that's a great piece to start, but you're able to not necessarily block every attack effectively because you're going to use more cards in your hand if you don't have the new perfect guards. So that's something that I'm going to be chasing. I also don't like the fact that it doesn't maintain advantage as well as I hope. So we want to play cards that kind of break even. So from this point forward, we're going to be hunting cards that help us generate that advantage, keep that advantage, as well as kind of not just establish plant tokens, but use those plant tokens as fuel into higher power and higher shield for our opponent's turns. Alright, card fighters, now that we've seen what this start deck could do, it's now finally time to expand our palette. We've seen what this deck could do and realized one thing immediately. This deck needs more defense. Because Sealed Only Vanguard is not about just ripping packs and trying to get lucky. It's about also optimizing the deck for competitive play, as we say in the intro to the Bushiroad Championship Series. Good thing, Stoicheia has one sealed product that is $60 exactly that helps solve our defense problem and gives us some cards to expand even our deck list in the future. Enter the Leonord Master Deck Set.